What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with MMA community not happy with UFC 316 main event. On Tuesday, Dana White and the UFC announced the main and co-main events for the UFC 316 card in New Jersey. After teasing a big announcement on social media all day, as it turned out, the promotion wasn't just pulling an April Fool's Day prank on fans. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel.
Saturday, June 7th, UFC 316 is coming to the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. In the main event, the champion, Merab faces the former champ, Sean O'Malley. Merab is looking for his second title defense after a dominant performance against Umar Nurmagomedov. Merab is on a 12-fight win streak. He is facing the always exciting and #1 contender, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's already one of the best strikers to ever grace the UFC bantamweight division with the highest ever striking accuracy and striking differential. 12 of his 18 wins have come by knockout, and all but one of his wins in the UFC have earned him a performance bonus. In the co-main event, women's bantamweight champ Juliana Pena looks to defend her belt against the bad Kayla Harrison.
While the card will play host to 2 title fights, much like Kevin K reported back in mid-March, with a rematch between Merab and Sean O'Malley in the main event and a fight between Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison in the co-main, fans are still not happy. In addition to hoping that Dana's announcement would be a Jones-Aspinall fight, plenty of other fans were not happy to see O'Malley getting an immediate rematch. This was the big announcement, LOL. Another added, Sean's coming off a loss by the way. His title reign consisted in beating Cheeto. No one gives a flying of the co-main since we've been waiting for an announcement on the John versus Aspinall fight for months. Nothing on Ilya, nothing on Islam, nothing on DDP and Hamzat. Weak. One replied, they want Sean to be champ again so bad. Another member of the MMA community joked, Sean white privilege, I guess. What else would it be? Another questioned, Sugar coming off loss gets title shot, LOL. One Sean O'Malley fan isn't feeling too confident about Sugar's chances in a rematch. Merab is gonna expose this dude again. As much as I like Sean, I have to admit that he's just not good enough. He's in this position because he's been super lucky. Another question, how O'Malley gets an immediate rematch against Merab, but Ilia Topuria doesn't get an immediate title fight at 155. Sugar deserves a title shot after his performance against Merab, but Topuria doesn't deserve title against Islam. Make it make sense. Whether the sentiment surrounding the card changes as we get closer to fight night, only time will tell. Sean O'Malley reacted to the rematch on his and Tim Welsh's Timbo Sugar Show on YouTube this morning. Here's what he said.
We'll get right into it. The rematch is official. Sugar Shane versus Merab 2 is happening, and I don't think people are going to be too happy about it. Very confident in my skills. Last camp we had some going on. I don't want to sit here and make excuses. We had a great camp. We showed up. I was in shape. We did what we could with what we were able to do. My groin kept me up at night because I tore my labrum 10 weeks before the fight, which is what we're at from the fight right now. I tore my groin, my labrum, and I was having serious groin pain. This camp it's already been a lot different. Feeling good. So super excited to be able to go out there, take care of business. But dude, if I can just keep this pace up, how we've been able to train these last few weeks all the way up into the fight, I'm going to be 70% better than I was in that first fight. I'm going to be significantly more mobile, agile, better shape, gonna fight at my full potential.
Dana White reveals huge deal with Meta for the UFC. Dana White revealed on social media that the UFC has officially signed a long-term deal with Meta for them to become their official fan technology partner. They will be debuting a new fighter ranking system that will release later this year.
What's up, everybody? UFC and Meta just signed a massive long-term partnership. Meta will now become UFC's first ever official fan technology partner. This is great news for UFC fans. Why? Because this means that Meta will use all of their apps and technology like Instagram, Facebook, Threads, WhatsApp, and Meta AI to create amazing content and experiences for UFC fans. We've already started to work with Meta to create a new fighter ranking system that will debut later this year, thank God. We'll also be using Meta's AI-powered glasses to capture UFC content, and we're going to do things with Meta that will blow UFC fans away. The next few years will be an absolute game changer for fans of this sport. Stay tuned, everybody.
This has been in the works for some time after Dana White went off on a journalist for their pound-for-pound rankings, mainly because John Jones was not ranked #1. Then earlier this year, Dana White joined Meta's board of directors. With that being said, what are your thoughts on the situation? Are you excited for AI rankings? Justin Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev should be next? How the lightweight title picture shakes out is anyone's guess, with Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, and Arman Tsarukyan all looking to throw down with Islam Makhachev, and a champion potentially waiting to see if he can move up and fight for the welterweight title. There's really no telling how things are going to play out at 155 this year. According to Michael Bisping, the next title shot should not go to Tsarukyan, Oliveira, or even Topuria, but rather to Justin Gaethje. During a video for his YouTube channel this week, Bisping weighed in on the lightweight title picture, making Gaethje's case for a crack at the belt. Justin Gaethje hasn't fought Islam Makhachev, so that would be a fresh title. Justin Gaethje isn't getting any younger either. I think we'd all sign off on Justin Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev. Justin gets to go in there, right the wrongs from the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, and finish his career as the UFC lightweight champion of the world. I think somebody like Justin Gaethje, who has put on these legendary fights, these epic battles, and just entertained the crowds, I think the man deserves it. As Bisping went on to say, given that Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira are taking shots at one another back and forth, he wouldn't be surprised if the highlight does wind up getting the next crack at the belt. Belal Muhammad fires back at Della Maddalena. Ahead of the Belal Muhammad JDM fight in May, the two sides are starting to ramp up the trash talk. In a post on social media this week, JDM wrote, "Stoked the UFC have put their trust in me to save the division. This will be done in one, no doubt." The comments didn't sit well with Belal Muhammad, who fired back with a post of his own, referencing allegations that JDM was trying to crowdfund tickets to get his team to Montreal to UFC 315 through a meet and greet. "Just when I was gonna donate to your fundraiser so your coaches can come. Enjoy Spirit Airlines." After speaking with JDM's management team, MMA Fighting's Damon Martin also provided an update on the reports that the challenger was raising money to get his corner to Montreal, writing that the whole thing was actually a miscommunication. JDM was not raising funds to get his team to UFC 315 in Montreal. Jack was making a paid appearance, and there was a miscommunication with the venue, who actually made that post, and it was absolutely outside of Jack's permission of knowledge. He then followed it up, adding, "Well, the event is cancelled for one, so it's no longer happening. The venue was paying for Jack's appearance, and they made the post about the event. You'd have to ask them about the money. Jack's management team just made it clear the whole fundraising thing wasn't him at all." Despite that, not everyone was convinced. John Nash replied, "The question I have, if this was the case, is why did the venue include the UFC's corner policy in their post? This is pretty specific information for a venue paying for an appearance to just come up with on their own." Given the meet and greet has been cancelled, it sounds like JDM has things figured out. UFC updates. Heading into this weekend's Emmett Murphy card at the Apex, let's take a look at today's UFC fight updates, starting with some reshuffling to upcoming fight cards. According to reports, the fight between Nikita Krylov and Dominic Reyes for UFC 314 is being moved from the prelims to the main card on the heels of the Jeff Neal-Carlos Prates cancellation. Additionally, a fight between Sergey Spivak and Shamil Gaziev, which was initially set for May, has now been moved to the UFC 316 card in June. Shifting gears, let's take a look at some new fights. Reports are indicating that a fight between Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov is in the works for UFC 317. Costa is in the midst of a 2-fight losing streak that saw him drop a split decision to Sean Strickland at UFC 302. On the flip side, Kopylov is on a 2-fight winning streak. Recently, he finished Chris Curtis with a head kick in January. Former title challenger Jessica Ai has announced on the Ariel Helwani show that she has signed with the BKFC. "After a long time of negotiation, I'm signing with the BKFC. I started out boxing. They finally came financially correct and motivated me enough to be like, you know what, maybe these guys will take care of me in a way that I wasn't taken care of in my UFC fights, and that's financially rewarding." Conor McGregor was quick to react to the signing on social media, writing, "She's in phenomenal physical condition, the best I've ever seen her, and I've shared many a card with her over the years. Look at her big bare fist and magnificent musculature. We are very happy to have Evil Eye at BKFC. We have high hopes for her and she'll be well looked after." So far, no word yet on when Ai will be making her BKFC debut. We've also got news regarding Ian Garry's next fight, which comes on the heels of Garry teasing a fight announcement earlier in the week when he wrote, "New KO incoming." Tell me in the comments who you think will be announced next. Shortly after, Dana White announced that Garry will be fighting Carlos Prates on short notice in the UFC Kansas City headliner in April after Prates' fight with Jeff Neal was cancelled. Ian Garry reacted to the fight being announced on social media by saying,
"Right, it's official. You've got a new main event, Kansas City, Missouri, me versus Carlos Prates, April 26th. I'm excited." Why? The UFC go, we need someone. Who do we need? Who do we call? You call me. Why? Because I'm a real fighter who wants to fight the best in the world. I'm going to show everybody how good I am. Carlos Prates is awesome, but this is my world. I love to fight. There's nothing more I love in this world than fighting. Missouri, Kansas City, let's go. Ireland, get your tickets, get your flights. Brazil, get your tickets, get your flights. And Brazil, desculpa, vocês têm 2 brasileiros nessa luta. Vamos lá. Prates, vi você abril 26.
Khalil Rountree reveals Jamahal Hill fight is postponed. Khalil Rountree has revealed his fight with Jamahal Hill is postponed due to Hill sustaining an injury. We reported this a couple of days ago, but now it's official. Rountree made a YouTube channel and broke the news. Make sure to check out his new channel and show him some love. Here's a small glimpse of what he had to say.
So, I just got off the phone with the UFC and it appears that Jamahal Hill is injured. It looks like I'm out of a fight and it's going to be postponed. I don't know when. I have no idea what the issue is. All I know is that UFC told me that he had to pull out due to an injury. They did tell me that it was an injury and that he needed more time to recover from this injury. So hopefully it stays that we stay matched up just at a later date. At the moment, I want to still fight Jamahal.
Late last night, it was being rumored that they will headline UFC Azerbaijan, which is taking place in June. This was first reported by Knockout Alerts on Instagram, but we don't know how credible they are, so take it with a grain of salt. Tom Aspinall should stop waiting for Jon Jones? Since defending the interim heavyweight title in July, Tom Aspinall has been waiting for news on a potential title unification bout with Jon Jones. According to reports, Jones also wants a 6-month training camp for a potential fight against Aspinall, which would mean that if a fight were to get finalized today, the two wouldn't fight until October, meaning Aspinall would be sitting on the sidelines for nearly a year and a half. The way Demetrius Johnson sees things, Aspinall should just stop waiting for Jones and defend the interim belt. During an appearance on Submission Radio, the former flyweight kingpin weighed in on the situation. If I was Tom Aspinall, I'd be like, God, dude, like I'm not waiting 6 months. Like y'all need to get me another fight, but then again, this could be the biggest fight of his career if he's able to beat Jon Jones. I have mixed feelings on the 6 months. I think that Tom Aspinall should take another fight. I think when you put an athlete who's very young like that on ice and they don't get that ring time, they don't get that opportunity to go out there and just fight and make the money, it's a little bit different. If I was Tom Aspinall, I'll say Jon Jones wants 6 months, I'm going to pass on that fight. I'm going to fight somebody else. I'll defend the interim heavyweight championship. Of course, according to Aspinall, his most recent meeting with the UFC went well, and he's feeling optimistic about the fight happening. Considering Jones's request though, the odds of the two throwing down on the International Fight Week card this summer seem pretty slim. Henry Cejudo thinking about retiring after worst injury ever. Henry Cejudo is still dealing with lingering eye problems after being poked in the eye by Song Yadong back in February. At the time, Triple C said that he was seeing double, and according to the former champion, not much has changed since. After getting a second opinion and consulting with Sean O'Malley's doctor, Cejudo is starting to think that, after his next fight, it's time to ride off into the sunset for good. During an interview with MMA Junkie this week, he opened up on what he described as the worst injury of his career. I sound like a crybaby, but it's the worst injury I've had. I actually got a second opinion and went to Sean's doctor. The other one, he said my eye would be good in a month, but every time I watch TV or I'm looking down, I still see double. It's been a month and it was a little pinky that was inside my eye and I'm still not 100%. My doctor said it would be like another month. Korean Zombie had the same symptoms and it was the reason he had to retire. I'm seeing double. When I put my eye in a certain way, I'll see 2 feet. Luckily, it's only when I lay down or I look, but it took me 5 days for my eye to stop seeing double when I got hurt. It's not the fact that I couldn't see, but I was seeing 2 people. As Cejudo went on to say, he'd like to close out his career with a rematch against Song. However, regardless of whether or not the UFC gives him a rematch, right now, his mind is set on retirement. Bryce Michell goes off on MMA media. After getting heavily criticized by everyone from Dana White to media members for his highly controversial take on Bryce Michell is now flipping things around. During an appearance on MMA Guru's YouTube channel, Thug Nasty took aim at media members and journalists for the way they covered the whole thing.
You actually invited me onto your show, and these other so-called journalists, they're not journalists. They're bought and paid for. They get told what to do. They get told to bend over, and they say how far. They don't form their own opinions. They're cowards. And if any of them is not a coward, then invite me on their show. I will debate these sons of and I will make them look like fools because their knowledge is inferior. I base my confidence off of my knowledge. My knowledge comes from my research. And you're not going to just run through me on a damn show when I've done my knowledge, when I've done my research and I have my knowledge. None of these cowards that belittled me in the media will debate me because that's what they are. They're not journalists. They're bought and paid for and they're bent over by the big man and they take it. And I don't. I say the truth.
In response to Mitchell's controversial claims, plenty of fans have used a clip of Thug Nasty being knocked out by Josh Emmett as a clapback. As it turns out, Emmett, at one point several years ago, wrote that if he could fight anyone from any time period throughout history, he would pick because, quote, I'd love to knock him the out. Now that the comment has resurfaced, fans are working it into edits of Michell being knocked out. During an interview with MMA Fighting this week, Emmett joked about the situation. It's kind of crazy. I didn't ask me anything on Reddit. I want to say like 6 years ago, and someone was asking me if there was anyone in any time period or history, who would you want to fight? I said I would love to fight and knock his out, and then somehow the internet found that and put all this stuff together. It was just wild. The internet is undefeated. He never gets to hear the end of it. Given the crowd's response to Michell during the UFC 314 press conference, it sounds like Michell is poised to hear more boos come April 12th. UFC 317 main card leaked by accident. It looks like one of the UFC 317 main card fights has been leaked by accident. And before we continue, we have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day. Kai Kara France recently shared a video from Instagram user JWebo8, where Kai was doing a workout routine and ended up revealing that he is 12 weeks out from his next fight. 12 weeks from now aligns perfectly with UFC 317, which is International Fight Week. And Kai also hinted that he's got a belt to win. In the post, JWebo8 captioned it by saying, Hill sprints with UFC flyweight Kai Kara France, 12 weeks out from his upcoming fight as he is about to become UFC flyweight champ. Back at UFC 305 last August, Kai knocked out Steve Erceg to put himself in contention for a flyweight title shot. Alexandre Pantoja is still currently looking for an opponent after beating Kai Asakura at UFC 310 and failing to call out and bring back UFC legend Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. Kai Kara France would be the perfect opponent for Pantoja, and it looks like the UFC might have booked the fight for UFC 317 if these leaks are true, which it most likely is because it's coming straight from the fighter. Dana's not going to be happy about this one, that's for sure. This will likely be the co-main event at UFC 317, and it's rumored that Islam Makhachev is interested in fighting on that card. Also, John Jones vs. Tom Aspinall has been speculated for UFC 317 as well. Who do you think will win the flyweight title fight between Kai Kara France and Alexandre Pantoja? Let us know in the comments below.